Ladies and gentlemen, you're here for round 6 of the GT3 championship. Well, the rest of us are here. AJ's in the gravel trap, apparently. But, that was quite a shot to open up the broadcast to. AJ Nichols Mercedes just being like, you know what? This turn is an illusion. Yeah, round 6, the halfway mark of the calendar makes its way to the Zhuhai circuit in China to basically round off the brief Asian tour of circuits. Not the biggest grid we've ever had for a league race, to say the least. Kind of hit the minimum for a broadcast, all considered. As transparent as can be. Francisco Alonso continues the long-standing trend of being the first to start a timed lap in the session, as he makes his way through the first of several hairpins at this track. And by that I mean, like, literally all but one corner on this track is, like, okay, all but 3, really, are just hairpins. There's Deshaun Davidson, etc., gets track limits violation, so he will return to the pits and hold the L, so to speak. Zhuhai, I think it's Zhuhai, because it's like Guanyu Zhou, so I think that's how Zh is pronounced in China. So Zhuhai then, he would chuck that car right in there. It's like a stretch and squeeze Fuji, if you were to get my not so serious opinion on the matter. Straight line speed is pretty important, or at least rather low to mid-range acceleration is paramount. You don't really hit top speed anywhere on this track, but you have a lot of medium-length straightaways. No, you make your time up at this circuit by focusing on late braking and corner exits. And the first true lap of the session, a 34.6 for the number 2 Ferrari. Not to be confused with the number 2 McLaren. I don't really know how we haven't changed that yet. Especially when the McLaren has, like, the 60 car that Connor could easily be driving. He runs a 35.7. The McLaren is a little awkward at low revs, normally, as Connor's sliding around. So I don't really necessarily expect this to be the dominant track for a McLaren. Apparently it will be a good one for Porsches though, which does make sense. All these low-speed hairpins, the weight distribution of a Porsche is going to pay out big time for Dylan Bam here. And Mike Stockton, or Stockton, I believe is his last name, is making his first appearance, I believe, if not period, then at least in a really long time. And he runs a 33.4 in the second Goat Inc. car, I believe that is. AJ Nichols is once again in the pit lane, making his way out of it. And Deshaun Davis is filling in for Matthew Daly in the other 44R car, as is sort of general for... He's an ECR driver, but ECR is under 44R, so that's common practice over there. It's basically a driver pool, not unlike the recent alliance that CL7 and NFR have recently formed, which with English, with which hope to provide sort of a driver pool system there. Not really a whole lot has come of it as of yet, though. It hasn't really had any reason to be, like, utilized. Dylan Bam finds 700ths, jumps to a 32.4. Stockton on the same front stretch. He will cross, find 4.5 tenths, jump to a 33 flat, but that's still not anywhere near Dylan Bam's lap time. His teammate Alonso, that is the name, also on a lap, finding some grass on the exit there. through the one corner that's like one of the two that's not really a hairpin. He is down on his time currently, so nothing spectacular from him at the moment. I know Connor Hannick's on an outlap. I just watched him exit. AJ is trying to, I believe, warm the tires a tiny bit as he heads up to the last turn to attempt to actually get a lap time in. I just noticed in the bottom corner there that his last run was defeated by track limits, so he's going to have roughly 2 chances here. I mean, he might have time for a third, but I don't know if he'll have the fuel for a third. He has to stay on the road, though, first. Big Tokyo Drift moment for who is undoubtedly our current points leader, as something moved. I think Francisco gained time. I mean, that doesn't really surprise me. He's up by 6 seconds. This is his first hot lap, so no real surprises there. The only front-engine cars on the grid are these 2 Mercs, as Stockton gets absolutely lambasted for limits. He got yelled at 6 times by the race feed down there. If I ever sound a bit out of it during today's broadcast, do not be surprised. I did not get an eyes full of sleep at all last night. So I'm kind of running on empty a little bit. I have caffeinated beverage next to me to try, keyword, to fill the gap, but that can only do so much. Especially since I'm not really going to be able to drink it while I'm talking. Anywho, across the line comes AJ Knickel for his first time lap, and it's immediately within striking distance of Dylan, half a second off with a 32.9. Dylan himself is on the track, though. He's about to issue a challenge, or try, at least, to try and claim some insurance, as there's a spun car off the track there. I believe that would be... No, that's not. That would be, Hoomst. Oh, it must have been Davidson that was spun there. I could not tell who that was, for the life of me. Another sideways moment for the AMG driver. AJ very clearly has put a lot of emphasis on the rear of the car to try and get it to turn and such. That is, you know, I mean, I just saw from the way he entered that hairpin there. I couldn't even hope to break that late and get away with it. So he's very much got the not the bias so much, but like, he's trying to get the rear of the car to turn more than the front, to say the least. That's kind of the best way to get around this track. With all these slow-speed hairpins, you're going to need all the maneuverability you can get. Doubly so in a boat like the AMG GT3. Final turn. It looked like a decent one. This should top the charts unless Dylan moves the goalpost. He does not. AJ Knickel tops the charts at 32 flat. Dylan will have to find a little over 3.5 tenths, and he's not going to find it over there. That is a destroyed Porsche and a denied pole time. So unless somebody else has anything to say, perhaps Davidson could complete a lap and at least get himself on the board pretty well. Alonso and Hannick also still on the track, see if they can find some improvements. Alonso crosses the start-finish line. I don't think he might have like improved his time, but not his position. Anyway, I think he did, but like not by a ton. The best apex for Hannick. Keeps it on the road. It wouldn't take much to improve from a 35.7, so we'll see if Hannick can find anything. He finds nada. And our last contestants, the 244R cars. AJ just trying to make a faster lap, trying to maybe break into the 31s here. Davidson off the circuit on the final turn. Can he at least survive? He can survive. And he gets to the 36.9, so respectably close-ish. AJ Knickel will cross the line. Not sure if he improved. It doesn't matter. He didn't, but he already had the pole no matter what. So, a last-minute upset that threw Dylan's entire equilibrium off, to say the least. AJ Knickel is your pole sitter as he goes for win number, I think 8 or 9 of this GT3 season, and we're at the halfway mark of the year, or of the calendar, so to speak. You know, terminology is difficult. Due to the attendance, we have shortened the 2 races that were originally planned for 9 and 18 laps, respectively, are now going to be, I believe, 6 and 14. Or thereabouts. So, a 7-lap thing here because we have to have the formation lap, but 6 laps of green flag racing. There will not be much time for cautions, to say the least. Which, in the interest of getting the race through quickly, you know, that might not be the worst thing. I just slightly got jump scared by the lights there. I forgot those were going to show up somehow. As you know, the formation lap begins, and you should go briefly over the running order here as we get things started. I'm going to try and bring up the standings, even though I already have a pretty good idea of what they probably look like, because, I mean, come on. AJ's won over half the races. That's not being updated. That's inconvenient. Okay. Well, our pole sitter is AJ Knickel. And duh. We've established that. As he looks for, I believe, his, 8th or 9th win. Oh, come on. Yeah, break. Where is it? Oh my god, we have so many series in this league. There we go. Excuse me. So yeah, AJ... Oh, this was a waste of time. Tell me something I don't know. AJ's got a 70-point lead over a car that's not even on the grid. Dylan Bam starts P2. Mike Stockton P3. Pretty decent appearance for him, considering this is his first start, if not period, in a long time. Francisco Alonso P4. Luis Ramirez 5th. Hannick 6th. Deshaun Davidson rounds out the field, reserving for 44R. The first battle in points is for 3rd between Dylan and Francisco Alonso. 11 points separate them, but they are 75 points off of AJ Knickel as he floors the throttle to bring us to the green flag for the Zhuhai round of GT3. That was a mouthful. Should not have segued that. Oh, Ramirez is already finding the wrong end of the Porsche effect. And he immediately loops it out of turn 1, trying desperately not to run Stockton off the circuit. Still did anyway, but he recovered. Connor Hannick, with the start ever, finds himself in P3 after starting 6th, just kind of picking his way through the chaos. Dylan Bam right on Knickel's tail. The Porsche is going to be really solid through these hairpins, so long as the dirty air doesn't send him careening off the circuit. or he doesn't chase his tail around, since it is a Porsche. Although Dylan seems to be more comfortable with that Porsche than he ever was with the Lamborghini, so we'll just have to see. There is exactly what I was saying that might happen. He caught some dirty air, and he's going to have to slow down to avoid getting smited by the stewarding gods of this game. Around the outside, Stockton will try on Connor Hannick. He will have little to no success here, though. Hannick is currently running for his life from the two Ferraris on the field. Or on the track. Looking that curve can be very terrifying. I would not recommend doing that too many times. Look like the two Ferraris might be battling here for 4th place. Not sure which one's even which. Oh, something really didn't like a bump there. There's a bump on the way into turn 1, in case you weren't aware, and some cars really just don't like it. Dylan's Porsche, clearly not one of them. He's still right there on AJ. Almost riding on top of his diffuser at the moment. And there are kind of two places to look, because we've got Dylan trying to attack Knickel, and we've also got the two Ferraris versus Connor Hannick. Oh, AJ's wide at the second hairpin, or third hairpin, I mean. So they're going to be side by side, heading towards the highest speed of all of the track's hairpins. Hannick still defending in the background. Trying the outside as the Porsche. Can he make a crossover? No, he's going to stay out there and force them both to not really optimize the racing line as Luis Ramirez retires the car after sustaining massive damage. Oh my lord, Francisco Alonso almost sustained some massive damage. I don't know what that was, if he had like a wheel malfunction or something, but that was almost not good. Oh, camera. Okay, there we go. And the slipstream dragged the Porsche up there. AJ takes a big defense. Connor Hannick spinning way in the background on the exit of the last turn. But we got to keep the cameras planted at the 2 leaders. Dylan sells a dummy. Crossover initiated. Is that going to take the lead away? Looks like it will. Solid racecraft. They're not done, though. AJ's still right there. Does he try his own crossover? No chance. The Porsche stuck the inside perfectly fine. The two Ferraris are not that close. Okay, the gaps were wrong, or I read them wrong. One or the other. Another peak for the Canadian driver. Nothing doing. But still in with a chance. Just Dylan is not really one to be able to withstand pressure sometimes. I've seen it myself. I think everybody else here has too. He cracks. He does indeed crack, and AJ has made him crack a few times already in his relatively short arc career. So I think if I'm AJ, I don't even know if I try and go for an overtake. Unless it's like basically gifted to me. I think I just sit in his mirrors, just put those headlights there and basically just grill him for all he's worth. Field relatively spread out other than these 2 leaders. The 2 Ferraris are not too far apart, but they're not going to be really fighting it out either, since they are teammates by way of reserve. AJ very wide on the exit of turn 1. That's going to cost him a fair bit of time and ruin any hope he might have had of trying to pass here. He gets a slight... Oh, no, he doesn't get the better run out of there, though. I thought he did. It looked good, but the Porsche just did it better, simply put. How about the third hairpin of asking? Oh yeah, AJ got that one. He's going to have a run. I don't know if it's going to be enough of one, though. The Porsche, no slouch on a straight. Makes a peak, but he can't make anything else materialize at the moment. Does the kink better? This isn't even a kink, this is a sweeper, but by this track standards, it feels like it might as well be just a little kink, because you can take it flat. still right there, biding his time, and I think he's gonna probably wait towards the end here. If he is saving anything in the tank, he's obviously not gonna use it until right at the last gasp. They're both running laps that would have been decent, that would have netted them the same qualifying positions. Oh, a bump given to the Porsche sends him flying off the circuit. He's lucky to recover before he finds a barrier. AJ is not really able to. He wanted to wait, but I didn't names. AJ wanted to wait for the driver he had just collided with, but he had more competition. As now here comes Mike Stockton in the Ferrari. And he's on top of AJ. AJ's going to have some damage from making that contact with the Porsche. That's going to slow him down. Dylan has finally rejoined the circuit in the background, but it's not even going to be on the podium positions. Unless something else happens more dramatically. It might be in the podium retroactively if a penalty is called on AJ for that. He attempted to let him back through, just that was not really in AJ's control. That Dylan was not in his own control because he was driving through sand with a car. So that does give you a light of sentence, but a penalty is a penalty, and when your opponent is 2.5 tenths behind you, anything will knock you down. The Ferrari is not going to get anywhere on the straights, though. Not in relation to an AMG. He's going to have to really just do some crazy nonsense through a section of turns. Even with what aero damage AJ Kaneko must be carrying, it's still out-dragging the Ferrari, even with slipstream benefits. Maybe his car's not that damaged after all. It doesn't seem to be affecting his handling either. The Ferrari can brake a lot later though, and it's mid-engine, so it'll rotate much easier. This is probably one of the Ferrari's stronger tracks normally, but that all does depend on what they put the downforce settings on for Goat Inc.'s setup. If it can go any lower, they should have done so, although I'm not really convinced that it could, because the Ferrari is just known for being a cornering merchant and not a whole lot to offer in terms of straight line speed. Dylan's car also damaged, and that means that Connor Hannock has caught him. And there's probably a better chance we see him try to pass the Porsche than we see anything come from the battle for the lead. As close as Stockton might come to him, I'm pretty sure this is still going to go the way of the Canadian here. And Connor Hannock did get ahead of Dylan while I wasn't looking. I think he might have slid off the track again. AJ Kaneko will, on the track, take the checkered flag for what I believe to be the 8th time this season. Double podium for Goat Inc. behind him, with Mike Stockton getting second on, I believe, his debut. Dylan Bam, I don't know if he's just weaving this as a joke or if he's got some very odd suspension damage, but Hannock is going to drag that McLaren kicking and screaming home for P4. I know that car's not fast here on the exits of these hairpins. Dylan comes home 5th after having a chance at winning the race. That's going to be quite an adventure in the cool-down room later, to say the least. And Deshaun Davidson, he didn't finish first by any means, but he did finish. He still finishes. He didn't hit anything. He just looked a little goofy. There he goes. Ramirez stand as the one retirement in the sprint race. His car took a hefty whack on lap 1. Turn 1 even. And in a 6-lap race, I don't blame him for seeing no point in fixing it and trying to continue, as there really wasn't much else to gain from that point. That will certainly help keep Alonso ahead of Dylan. He might close in a little bit on Matthew Daly, who is absent as well today. He is 29 points off of Matthew Daly. And I read wrong. He's 5 points ahead of Dylan Bam. So Mike is on the standing sheet. So he's like noted as being a driver who's attempted to run a race, but he has no points. So it must just simply be that either he attempted a race and didn't qualify, which is not possible because we've gotten nowhere near a 16-car grid in this season. Far cry from the ARC Endurance Championship, I must say. Where, especially in the GT3 category lately, both races, I say every single race, both races so far have been an absolute scuffle just to get into. And we will head straight into the 14-lap feature race. So with only a 7-car grid to speak of, that means the whole field is going to flip around. And Deshaun Davidson will have the pole for the feature, which will be interesting to I don't know. It would be Ramirez. It would be Luis, wouldn't it? But he DNF'd. I don't really know I don't remember if we count that or not. I don't think we've had to determine that, because I don't think we've ever had a DNF in the top 8 before. So I guess we'll know in a handful of seconds when the session begins and the drivers form up in wherever they're instructed to go. If Ramirez starts in first or last, simply enough. And we are rolling in, yeah, so Ramirez is granted the pole, in spite of retiring the car. My future self would be interested to see if anything comes of the contact that was made in at the end of the previous race there between Dylan and AJ. If Dylan even is feeling malevolent enough to submit anything against AJ, knowing that he did do everything he could to give the position back, but Dylan could not keep his car under him due to driving through sand. So if there is a penalty, it's not going to be a big one. It's going to be at most a 5-second penalty, because that's the minimum there can be in our stewarding rules. Normally, I think it would probably be a 10-2. So because that did kind of look like a bump and run, but because AJ tried to stop and let Dylan back ahead of him to no real results because Dylan was out of control. This is a really fast formation lap. Where were we doing 100 there? This is no formation lap. What is happening here? Interesting. Excuse me again. So are we forming up here, or is there something I'm missing? We should be doubling up. It looks like, yeah, we are now doing that. Okay, so I guess we were just trying to speed the process up by going fast on this formation lap. Luis Ramirez, Deshaun Davidson, Dylan Bam, Connor Hannock, Francisco Alonso, Mike Stockton, AJ Knickel. As the field heads out of the last turn, Ramirez is in control of our destiny as we take the start-finish line, and we are green for the feature race. Let's see if we can all make it through turn 1 this time. No, we absolutely can't. Deshaun Davidson has sent Dylan Bam to the Shadow Realm in the background, and there is huge damage dealt to the other Porsche. Francisco Alonso is experimenting with some sand traps over there, and I have reasons to believe that we are under a yellow flag due to that contact. Oh, Dylan's car is wrecked. He can't even turn by the looks of it. I mean, that was a pretty textbook lap 1 nonsense. Forget making it through turn 1. I very clearly should have kept my mouth shut. We didn't even make it to turn 1 before we had Dylan's car getting crunched like the beetle that it truly is. Bit of a daydream there. I mean, I always miss out a tiny bit on cautions. Yeah, that crash seemed relatively textbook. It was just Deshaun didn't know Dylan was there. I don't really know how he couldn't have guessed, considering it was a double foul start. So just kind of really poor showing on his part. And me and AJ pit. I don't know why AJ is pitting, unless he got damage from that somehow. I don't know how that would be. Dylan, I think you missed. He's taking his car all the way to the back in the garage. He is done for the week. He's just out of here. He has had enough. Something tells me he's gonna be malevolent now. He's gonna be submitting some penalties, methinks. Excuse me, I just got jump scared by my own lungs. Just not ready for that cough at all. There's no reason the field shouldn't be bunched up again by the time we head towards the final corner. AJ's there, but Davidson is a little ways off still. I think the rule might be that since he caused the caution, though, we might not be waiting for him. Especially since we're trying to, like, the drivers are kind of wanting to get this wrapped up here, since it is such a small field, now back down to 6. Because apparently that is just the Champ Inc. Requiem. We cannot have both Porsches making it to lap 3. Davis is gonna just barely arrive as we head on to the front straightaway. Luis is again the control car, so whenever he goes, we'll be green again, and he is wasting little time. You're back green. Let's get a little further this time, hopefully. And with another rocket start, he's going to go too wide with Stockton into turn 1. And he's going to have the better line. Let's see if he can stay there and make it work. You will have the better traction on exit, but the Ferrari just cornering better. Somehow, some way, I don't even know how it's fighting. It's in the grass. It's out of control, wiggling way too much. And he's going to slot right in between Luis and Hannick as he slides helplessly off the circuit. That looks so dramatic, and it was kind of funny. He got a tire in the grass, and he just did a little dance before just dying. Literally off to the Shadow Realm with you, Stockton. AJ looking for an overtake on Connor Hannick. Tries the outside of the McLaren. He's got grip, but I don't know if he's got that much. He will take it on to part 2, but the inside lane is certainly victorious through there. Oh, now the other Ferrari with some grass on its tires, and that is a much heftier hit. But one-car incidents are not yellows. Or I guess maybe they are, because we're down to 50 miles an hour, so I guess that was a caution, despite it being the single-car spin. Well, we almost made it to the end of the lap before we got another yellow. Now all of the mandatories are going to be served right here, at literally the earliest possible chance you could. So, yeah, everybody's going to do that regardless. My lungs, rather, are disagreeing with me. I expect these two will be here for a while. Especially Francisco with how much damage he must have. Really? He's gonna beat him out of the pits? That is surprising. Ugh. How badly did I type that? One more bad call for the road, as for the third time in 5 laps. Sorry, 4 laps, really. Ramirez takes us across the line. AJ tailgating him like there's no tomorrow, and we are once more green as we head towards T1. Let's see if we can maybe reach lap 7 without a crash. There are 6 cars on the track. I don't see how they keep getting into incidents, especially since we weren't really having this problem in the sprint. AJ and Hannick both finding some grass, and we are going to have another crash. No, they both save it. I don't know how, but they both kept that straight-ish enough. Neither of them lost a place either, although Hannick is going to lose one after missing his braking at the second hairpin. Again, Stockton and Hannick making more contact as they try to settle things out after Hannick's rejoin. Hannick wants third back from Alonso, but he just doesn't have the drive out of these corners in that McLaren to get it. He thought about diving, but he does not turn up any results on that. And AJ versus Ramirez for the lead. I know these two love each other to death, so this will be interesting to see. If things go smoothly, or if we get another chrome horn administered, we have another DNF. Davis is gone. Not really sure what I missed there, why he has retired the car, but he is out of here. The Porsche's breaking even with the AMG on the straight. AJ thinks about a sin, but thinks better of it. Probably, keeping in the back of his mind what happened the last time he tried to pass a Porsche turn 1 here. Some bit of lane changing going on from Hannick. AJ early on the brakes and maximizing his exit speed. This should do it. He's gonna maybe sweep around the outside of the Porsche. He's gonna, I think, find the grass a little bit there. He's not gonna clear, as a matter of fact. Luis can brake just late enough to stave off the AMG's attacks. And things are basically just kind of maintaining the status quo in the back 3 of the field. AJ looks poised, but he doesn't go for it. The gap is lying to me. They are not side by side like the gaps would imply. Yeah, they're a second apart. That makes a little more sense, intervals. Come on, get with the program here. And there goes Davidson. This is Davis in the Discord, but he used to go by Davidson, so now my brain's all twisted. Once again, the better run for Knickel, but his run seems to stall out a tiny bit once he hits 5th gear. He will draw alongside this time. Down into turn 1 we go. Nearly contact. Actually, there may have been some door contact at the apex. Around the outside goes the Porsche. How did he get that stopped? Oh, leg. That's how. He didn't really go that way. That was still, despite how weird it looked with the leg, that was still a mighty overtake, but that's just only going to make things harder if the leg is surging again. Only going to make him more prone to getting run into. Or he's going to miss the 3rd hairpin on his own accord and lose the spot to Knickel that way. I guess that also works. He's going to need a good sector here just to stay within striking distance of the AMG. It's going to be gone on the next straightaway, I think. That's not where that car is supposed to go in the background. Alonso's doing some exploring. And that leaves Hannick with third. Once more. That does put Francisco back to last place. Ramirez is still in range. If you can get a good run from the last turn, you can take the fight back to turn 1. Oh, he is going to get a better turn, or last turn, I think. Turn. They are going to be too wide down the start-finish straight as we have completely passed halfway. Ahead of the braking zone, who comes out ahead at the exit of the hairpin? It's not going to be Ramirez. Porsche moment once again strikes. And he's going to barely rejoin without making further contact with any of the other cars. And that leaves AJ all on his lonesome. Except he's also missing corners, so... I didn't really seem to gain Connor much time, though, but we still have a battle on the track. Luis's car is not damaged, so he is still going to continue to be a threat to at least the Ferraris and possibly Hannick as the closing laps appear. As the closing laps come, basically, you know. You know what I mean. Context, by the way, because I know there are a lot of children in the chat. Connor Hannick gets a time penalty. That's not going to help him any. Obviously. I had to think about the brain-dead commentary I was just making. I was like, wait, duh, where have you been, Riker? Alonso has to jam the brakes, or possibly even some lag contact occurred that stopped Alonso's car in its tracks. It's hard to say for sure. I think it was a bit sideways for Alonso on the exit there. And a good run from the last turn for Ramirez. He might have a shot at Stockton if he wants it. He's going to try... He's going to think about the outside. He's going to sell a dummy there. Let's see if he gets a crossover. Not really that close, no. A bit wide for Ramirez. That's going to give Alonso some time back. Not quite going to be a shot at an overtake, but it's building up to that. Or the Porsche moment's going to strike again. And small contact with Alonso is actually, I think, going to help Ramirez stabilize the car. Somehow. Despite hitting him at the part of the car that should send him all the way around. Project Cars physics decide to make things up as they go along. AJ is really putting in some... The 32.4 would have almost been good for pole in our qualifying session earlier, and that's in the race pace, but he's also around at the second corner. That's just kind of like a compound corner. He doesn't lose the lead because Hannick is also around. Do we believe in oil slick there? What the heck? And they're all around. Ah! Everybody's around. There's literally an oil slick there or something. Did it start raining and nobody noticed? Oh my god, that's probably a caution. There we go. Yeah, no? Maybe? I don't know. Yeah, we're calling that a caution. Well, Luke, I think we found your reel or clip, you know what I mean. Literally every car on the track spinning in the little short chute between turns 1 and 2. Alright, now that we've gotten the comedy skit out of the way. Stupid. The top two do not pit. But it's both the Ferraris as well as Luis do pit. I mean, I guess it makes sense. I think those three found the wall. While I know I'm blind. Alonso is not in. Connor is in the pits, and Alonso's not in a McLaren. I don't know where my brain was there. This McLaren's looking awfully red. The 99 car is yours, Riker, not his. Okay, maybe having some equipment malfunctions are going on or something here. I'm not really sure what that was. Well, rest assured, the rest of the pack's gonna get here in time after whatever just happened there. But tire temps might be a little bit difficult here. I didn't really think about that. We do have like 2 high-speed corners, but this track is like almost exclusively hairpins, and it's not super warm out. You still are on the winter days. That's gonna change next round when we get into March, and then the game will count it as spring, even if it's before spring officially starts, because it literally just splits at the start of the month. So it's like March 1st beyond is spring, and then it's like June 1st for summer, September 1st for fall, and like December 1st for winter. Or some dumb thing like that. So come next week at Brno, it's going to be spring, and tire temps are going to be a little less of a struggle to maintain, as the track temps and air temps will be a little less extreme, and a little more in the sort of middle ground that just kind of works for GT3 cars, where soft tires can do the thing a lot better. What? Do the thing, yeah. Could you have simplified that any more, Riker? Where's Ramirez? There he is. His front end's still looking like it just, it's swollen after getting like stung by a wasp or something, but I'm just gonna assume it's a desync, and he has indeed fixed his car. Yeah, he's not pitting, so. Classic desync moment. And we are about to go green. AJ is weaving as much as he can. Now we are green for what will be the final time here. 3 laps to go from Zhuhai to settle who will win the feature race. AJ can claim win number 9 on the year for GT3, or, well, it won't be Mike Stockton doing that, considering he just spun at turn 1. I thought Ramirez went off the track there. No, but I think Stockton did. Rikerism at its finest right there. All under a blanket as we head towards the 3rd hairpin. I mean, all except for the car that spun at the first turn. And he's only about 3 seconds away. If things get really stupid at the end and a bunch of cars crash after cautions can be displayed, Stockton's not out of reach. It would just require something astronomically stupid to happen for him to have any shot of a podium, much less a victory. But we've already seen a lot of spins today, especially at turn 1. So, really anything can and will happen. Oh, that is a terrible run through that hairpin. And that's an even worse, what is going on? The terrible hairpin from Alonso, terrible overtake attempt from Connor, and Ramirez is just the victim of both. He's going to be wide at the final turn, trying to stay too wide with Hannick in the McLaren. The McLaren, whom is now going to go too wide with the Ferrari, who he just crashed into a minute ago. And he's gonna get that move done for realsies this time. Why am I suddenly 8 talking like this? What generation am I from again? Burnout 3 told me I was part of the lazy generation, not the crazy one. Oh, hello, sudden Luis Ramirez sends both cars into the gravel trap. And there's that astronomically crazy thing that happens that at least in that 4th place Stockton, Ramirez sent around completely. Alonso was able to recover relatively well, but his car is probably damaged, so he'll put up basically no resistance to his reserve teammate of Stockton. In saying that, he is now looking like he's about to put up resistance to him as we go towards the 4th hairpin of the track. I don't even know corner numbers, I just know it's like 4th hairpin, kink, 5th hairpin, final turn. And then the other 3 hairpins, obviously, as a matter of course. The Fuji turn 1 hairpin, the weird hairpin chicane hybrid, and then the 3rd hairpin. And then you got like the little kink in between, but that's such a nothing corner in both cases, really. The GT3 really doesn't struggle to make either of those kinks by any means. White flag flying for AJ Nickel, looking for his 9th win of the season here out of 12 rounds, so I hate to be that guy and say he's already got the championship, but with Matthew Daly not even here to try and limit the damage, AJ might have a points lead of over 100 by the end of this, and it's going to be really hard to make up that deficit with only half the rounds left to go. Somebody's going to have to add Mike to the broadcaster's party for the podium interviews, since we do have to do those. My head is still itching. It has not stopped itching today. I know that's not really anybody else's problem but my own, but that's what you're hearing. If there's any noise coming through the microphone, it's me scratching my head like a maniac. One turn away from notching number 9. Literally a 75% win rate to the credit of AJ Nickel. Checkered flag in the air and and just about moving it out of reasonable reach for everybody else. Connor Hannock will bring it in 2nd place, and a double podium for Mike Stockton right at the last, courtesy of his teammate getting sent flying by Ramirez. He'll bring it in 5th, but at least he crossed the finish line this time around, which he failed to do in the sprint race, and his teammate, team owner, failed to do here in the feature. Then we had Davis and then Dylan Bam retire their cars early. And I think they'd still be credited with 6th and 7th respectively. So now work on getting our multitude of podium finishers in here. As I said, somebody else is going to have to invite Mike to it, because I've never friended him, I've never met him. I think somebody else is going to probably have to... Oh, never mind. I already did. Just waiting on Francisco to get here, and then we'll get the interviews. Unless he's not joining.
Well,
So I'm not gonna wait forever. I'm just gonna jump ahead.
yeah, I say go for it, to be honest.
I'm
Let her fly.
just gonna skip ahead to his teammate who got third here in the feature. I believe I was basing off your Discord username, Mike Stockton, I believe it was. So if it is not your name, then oops. But that's what I saw on the Discord.
No problem. No problem.
This is your GT3 debut, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I was just like trying to make sure. Like, the name sounded vaguely familiar, but I couldn't tell if it was from something else or if it was from GT3 already.
Probably Motive.
I don't think I know you from that. I wasn't there, so.
Could be.
But yeah, double podium on your debut. Oh, there's Francisco. Well, he'll have to wait until you're done with this teammate here. But double podium on debut. I know you were putting some decent practice time in. Did you did you think you'd get that far when you took the green flag today?
No, probably not. I did not know my competition really, and I was quite hesitant at some, and it caused a few mistakes, but I'm happy overall, so.
Yeah, clearly everybody made mistakes during that race. So, some more than others. I don't really know what that turn 1 was on lap 11, but that literally looked like somebody put an oil slick on the track. We'll get to that later, though. Towards the end of both races, you were kind of next to your teammate. Was battling for the position ever really on either of your minds, or was it just kind of let the dust settles where it does kind of thing?
Yeah, just let the dust settle where it does, and just see who's faster, who's quicker, and who wins the battle. So.
I know team orders. I suppose that does make sense, being that it's like your first race. Can't really tell who actually is the better car yet.
Come on, Riker. I know you get some questions in you.
I'm just trying to think if I have any more for Mike, or if I move on to his teammate. I don't really think I have any other questions for Mike. I just so I guess we'll move on to his teammate Alonso, I think the more full-time driver on that car. I believe it was you who spun at the start of the feature, or no? Yeah, I know it was basic. Well, actually, no, it was mostly over.
Hit off the track. AJ said he was looking back at the Sean's crash, so I didn't lose any positions from that. I think I moved up a position because everyone else was still falling, like crashing off the track.
Yeah, I think he technically got a spot off of. I guess it would have probably been like Deshaun. Yeah. Other than that, I just kind of had a quiet, singular podium. I think this was the difference was between the sprint and the feature that put you down a spot.
Well, I think Dylan left early. Most of the podium. Yeah. And then Mike was a little bit further back at the start. Then there's a whole incident on lap 13, I think.
Yeah, 13.
Took me out. So I think me and Connor were fighting for P2. There's that, but after that, me and Mike were having a little battle. Decided to let him go because, even though I was 4, I could have fallen back to 5th and we were still in the race. And I, kind of fight for P2 in the championship.
no risk or whatever they said in like Monza, Ferrari, which makes sense.
Just finished.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty solid day. I mean, I had no practice going into this race besides an hour before. Just trying to learn the track. I didn't know it was a good time. So, successful day, even, with some shortcomings.
It would have kind of been hard not to have a successful day with the smaller grid. Like, the worst you could have done was like 6th, since both races had at least one retirement. But, and that, I guess that kind of also answered my question, the other question of, when that crash did happen on 13, what was that? But if that was just Luis breaking loose on braking, that makes sense. It's Porsche.
I think he just got loose in the braking. I mean, I think after today, I think I should be moving closer to P2. Obviously, not. I don't think we're gonna get P2 in the championship because once Matthew comes back, he's gonna be obviously quicker. Just trying to stay high. Just cling on as high as I can standings.
I guess we'll move away from the Ferrari duo towards, I guess Connor Hannock would be scoring about as many points as he would be net overall, but, I would have interviewed you first if you were here when we started, so whatever the case may be. Hannock had a bit of a rough go in the sprint, but mostly compensated in the feature. What was kind of your perspective on the whole feature race? I saw you spin way off in the background whilst I was watching the battle for the lead. Was there anything that caused that in specific, or was it just off the track?
I had a few issues. The car was just occasionally decided didn't want to be stable anymore. No matter what I did, trail braking was an issue for me today, but when it worked, it worked quite well. So I think I spun a couple of times in the sprint, and then that once when someone put an oil slip down in turn 1. I don't know what happened there, but not my fault. But yeah, it's a decent day overall, I think.
Yeah, that's going to be like one of the great mysteries of ARC. What was wrong in that turn 1 that literally every car running spun there? So I guess it was just a matter of driving style adjustment that made the difference through the feature round then?
It was. I just took it a bit easier, carried the speed better through. Broke earlier, let off earlier, and just let the car carry its speed along. I got better line through turn 1, and that kind of hiked into turn 2 too. And that got rid of my problem corners.
I never thought that kink is anything really difficult per se.
For me, anything is difficult.
I guess Mike could attest to that. We did see that incredibly dramatic spin he had in the, I think it was in the sprint race where he just cut a tire in the grass. Or no, that was like the very start actually of this feature. I'm so out of it today. I already have a bad concept of time. I already forgot what happened in what race. But nevertheless, sort of damage. I don't know if we call it damage limitation. If you never really had a lot of damage from the sprint, since 4th is still decent points, albeit relatively not that many considering 6 cars crossed. But let me move to our, what is it now? 9-time winner. I feel like I've been here before.
Probably something like that at this point.
Because I think it's just, like, we've gone through 12 rounds. Dylan has his 3 from, I think, one of the 2 last week and both rounds earlier in the season at a track I forget. I want to say Spa?
I can't remember.
I certainly can't.
I think it was Suga, wasn't it? Anyway, I don't remember. Dylan had one from Suga. Not relevant. Ask me questions.
No. We caught in the sprint race using the chrome horn there. Was that a bit of a braking misjudgment, or was that Dylan braking earlier than anticipated?
That's what I'm trying to figure out right now, looking at the replay. I felt like I was looking, well, braking, not looking. I felt like I was braking pretty much at my exact point, and looking at the replay, I feel like he probably braked about, man, probably like 10, 12 meters before he had done on the previous 2 laps. So, I don't know. He just seemed to stop going into the apex. Typically, when I get in the back of somebody, you're at fault if you're the person who runs into somebody, but like, you also got to be predictable, and like, I'm willing to take the blame if that's not the case, but from what I saw, and I'm taking pictures of brake markers and whatnot, 'cause, at some point you got to prepare for any sort of protest or whatever, but I felt like I was reasonable on the brake, completely under control, and he was just way slower than I anticipated. And now and I waited for him because I was like,
Yeah,
but,
I did see
spun
that
out
on the side of
in
the
the
screen,
grass,
but he
so.
was just, yeah. He did a bit of Dakar running in a Porsche.
It seemed like after the hit he had to gather the rear up, but he didn't really make much of an effort to save it beyond that. So I don't know. Just having a bad day, I guess, on his end, because I felt like that was, you get a 5-second penalty typically for punting somebody, and I waited about 6 seconds for him, and he spun himself out on the way back on the track. But that is life, c'est la vie.
And I guess so. Leave any
It just,
decisions up to AF Dylan even submits it, and then...
yeah, no, I was gonna say, like, I race Dylan a lot, and I feel like the last couple of weeks he's been racing me quite hard, so I don't know. I don't want this to be something that he looks at and goes like, "Oh, you punted me," but because like that's not what happened. What happened was he braked in a different spot, 1 lap to the other, so.
And then... and you're looking back at the crash, so I figured if anybody, I was going to ask you this for your final question regarding the lap 1 incident in the feature race. But between Deshaun and Dylan, as a
Oh
person
yeah.
who's in the chat, what was Dylan's sort of reaction to that, and was it really just as simple as Deshaun just didn't see him there?
Yeah, I mean, I'd say he didn't see him there. I don't think it's typically that cut and dry is not seeing him there, but he said before the race, he's like, "Man, I really don't want to wreck anybody in this one. I should start at the back." And I was like, "Well, you can start at the back." And he held his position, and I figured, if he wanted to start at the back, he'd end up doing it before the formation lap. He didn't say anything else, and then, next thing he was trying to go to the back, but didn't bother to look at his mirror. And unfortunately, Dylan seemed to be the person who got the worst end of that.
The Mercedes punching bag today.
Yeah, I'm not really quite sure what was going on there. It was a little odd for sure, but one way or another, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it probably wasn't totally accurate, but I just kind of imagined when Dylan literally drove it into the garage. I kid you not, he drove his car properly into the garage space.
I was behind him. I was sitting in the pit when it happened, so a little interesting.
I could just kind of imagine him just storming off from the PlayStation after that. I don't think I'd blame him either.
No, not after a race like that. You can't really blame a guy for that stuff, but.
Well, that's about wraps up for interviews.
I guess he didn't. I'm looking at the clips. I guess he didn't really break any crazy earlier. I felt like he did at the time, but I was still completely under control. Like I would have made the corner, so I don't know. I'll take blame for that one, but it just felt a little weird to me. I don't know if it was like the way we rolled off the apex or what, but anyway, I'll take the blame on that one.
With the interviews and the rest of the racing out of the way, and whatever other, associated action, appreciation goes to our many sponsors here on ARC. In ARC. That was ARC. DIVEBOMB, they're our premier partner that works directly with us to basically keep the league running. They're a new media project. I still never looked up what that actually means. SLP, SimLeaguePro.com, ARC's league management partner. SLP is built for drivers and community managers alike to organize, host, schedule, and anything else that's necessary to run a league. SimWrap Market, iRacing's marketplace for professional livery designs and templates, along with custom graphics, number sets, and anything else you could need to design a car in the sim racing world. IMB Racewear, ARC's sim racing apparel sponsor, bringing gloves, boots, and anything else you'd need to use a Thrustmaster wheel, basically, or any other wheel. The Racing Rats are Assetto Corsa mod partners, working with us directly to keep the Assetto Corsa leagues going and running as smoothly as can be. And lastly, to James McAdam Photography and AJ Kaneko Design, our partners in both photography and graphics, respectively. But from all of us, sponsors, drivers, let's use them as there are, and everything else, goodbye for now. Hopefully you see you here next week. Hopefully there will be a race next week at Brno for the next GT3 competition.